There's a new article shielding Brie Larson from criticism. Of course, like all third-wave feminist causes, minorities matter, except when a white woman's involved. Don't worry, this Angus of color will tell it like it is.
This is a man, well, this is a man, well, and Birdie will be nothing but nothing, but I
Thank you very much.
This article today comes from The Express and reads, Avengers Endgame, Brie Larson hit by troll backlash again in Captain Marvel Petition. Brie Larson is once again the target of trolls' bizarre efforts to end her Captain Marvel tenure. Alright, so the first paragraph goes, ahead of the release of her solo movie, Captain Marvel, Larson was vilified by some extreme fans of the MCU for saying she wanted to help female journalists and journalists of color to gain access to movie press junkets, which are statistically proven to be dominated by white males. I like how they say fans in quotations, as if to say they don't like Brie, which de facto means they don't like women, and are therefore not real fans. Now I'm going to give an extreme example of how I see things and hopefully give some perspective. If I heard a white nationalist complain about all the black people in the NFL and NBA, I wouldn't think they hate sports. Now there's a true example of hate, and I, a black guy, don't feel the need to condescend a theoretical white supremacist. With Marvel fans critical of Brie, there's no extreme, like my example. We despise Brie not because she's a woman, but because of her words and her initiative to enact more causes that exemplify the bigotry of low expectations. In fact, I'd say there's no woman hate in the fandom. Why would they have made it this far if that's the case? Now see, I'm only a paragraph in and I'm already having to lay the Express over my lap and give them a good firm spanking. Let's continue. Despite clarifying that she wanted to bring more seats to the table, nobody's getting their chair taken away. The efforts to rain on her parade on YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, Rotten Tomatoes, even on some small news sites were relentless. The transparent campaign didn't work. Captain Marvel grossed over $1 billion at the box office without even getting particularly strong reviews, and is currently the 23rd highest grossing film of all time. But now the trolling is starting up all over again following the release of Avengers Endgame. You see, they try to validate this movie by the amount of money it made, despite pointing out that it didn't get favorable critical reception. What seems to be an effort to throw Larson's calls for more diversity in Hollywood back in her face, someone has set up a petition calling for her to step down as Carol Danvers. As reported by We Got This Covered, the person who started the petition claims to want the role played by a woman of color, not Brie Larson. Now you see, it's funny, they write claims to want to have the role played by a woman of color. They're already trying to undercut this because it's just trolls, people, just trolls. All right, they're right. We need Brie Larson to step down from her role to prove she is an ally of social justice and ensure a gay woman of color plays the role. Let Monica, the original female and black Captain Marvel, instead of whitewashing characters for the benefit of the straight white men running Disney. Of course, it is largely agreed that Marvel is in desperate need of increasing its number of lead superheroes of color. The studio has been criticized for not having a single explicitly LGBTQ+, sorry, this acronym keeps getting longer, superhero in its on-screen roster. Oh man, you gotta check out this article. I don't know why they chose this photo, unless it's from the petition, I guess, but yeah, you're not doing Brie any favors. But the fact that Larson in particular is the target of this petition seems to be no coincidence. It's obvious from the comments left by those signing the petition at the time of writing, around 15,000 signatures have been recorded, that this is rooted in animosity towards Larson and her progressive views, rather than a genuine push for diversity. For the whammons, wrote one person sarcastically. I love it. We can all objectively agree that Brie Larson is a living embodiment of a mistake. Too late to abort, but we can still do the right thing here, said another troll. Well, I mean, you know, people are arguing about abortion and viability. Clearly, this character viability in the MCU is questionable. So abortion perhaps is a reasonable assumption here. Abortion of character, or her playing it. What's also interesting is that many of the names and comments on the petition appear to be duplicates, indicating that the 15,000 total is not quite as it seems. Larson herself has never directly commented on the internet's efforts to derail her, but she did say in a recent interview that she pays no attention to any kind of buzz about her, positive or negative. See, she goes on to say, "I made a promise to myself a long time ago that I won't pay attention to either of it," she told PTI. "I just do what feels right in my heart, and all that stuff is outside noise. I know who I am. I know what it is that feels right and what I want to do. I just stay true to that." Marvel, meanwhile, is widely expected to introduce a gay superhero via the Eternals, which is thought to be in development now. Going back a few lines, she talks about how she ignores the good and the bad. Doubt it. Perhaps, honestly, perhaps she does ignore a large chunk of the negativity, but she's definitely aware. There's that whole fiasco that she helped incite from Netflix, where she retweeted this condescending response to a person critical of her being a director with Unicorn Store. And she retweeted saying Netflix, and 50,000 plus Twitter users, Marvel bots, Captain Marvel bots, ensued to attack this guy. He had to lock his account for all the attacks he was getting for non-Captain Marvel, non-female, anything related criticism of her directorial debut. Along with that, got the interview of her and Hemsworth and Don Cheadle. Hemsworth goes on to say something along the lines of her being the next Tom Cruise. I first saw it, I thought he was kind of jabbing at her or mocking her, but maybe he's being sincere. But despite that, despite whatever the context is, she responds with this.
Tom Cruise, I mean?
No, I want to be the first me, not the next Tom Cruise. Thank you very much.
And of course, there's that weird Wired interview that everyone keeps coming through. I used it jokingly. And you can see this response here.
Well, that's awkward. Is that like a personal attack or something?
This lady is clearly oversensitive and always expecting negative shit. And I really appreciate that video from Charisma on Command, really digging deeper into it and displaying that for people who may not be aware or read into that as much as they should. But yeah, wacky article, of course, guy discredit. And I am sure that this is a troll using leftist terminology and buzzwords to make this petition, just to mock them and show you, like I'm pointing out, that minorities matter until it's a white woman. That's how third wave feminism works.
I just did what I do best. I took your little plan and I turned it on itself.
It's white women want to feel important, and so they co-opt minority initiatives to prop themselves up because they're a minority, quote unquote. 50% population is women, so they are the biggest minority, and therefore they get the biggest platform and they have the biggest reach. It's very insidious, and you see it here through pop culture with Brie Larson, and I'm not afraid to point that out. So let me know what you think in the comments. I'll be sure to let a Captain Marvel bot see this on Twitter. Be sure to tag them in it or drop it in vicious dialogue with them if they haven't blocked you for wrong thing. Black Angus, check out my buddy Ricky Critic. He's got some good stuff covering how Brie Larson's been helping the fandom, and it's clearly she loves us. She keeps giving us material, so go check that out, and I'll talk to y'all later. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. If you'd like to support this channel, consider becoming a patron or buying store merch from the Teespring store. Don't forget to check out the growing list of friends in the Fandom Collective in the description below. And follow me on Twitter @AngusReviews. See you there.